Okay, so for this week's homework, we have kind of an interesting task. So we give you this smart contract that is called exploitable swap. And what is the purpose of this contract? So let's say you want to sell an NFT or some other token to someone, and you don't trust that person to actually pay you. So you can use smart contracts to kind of make sure this swap goes through or doesn't if in case you don't get paid, but you don't need to trust the other person. So the way this works is that basically you would lock whatever you want to sell in the contract as a UTXO together with this datum swap that contains information, the beneficiary, which would be yourself. So you would be the person who would have to be paid to unlock this item, and also the price that you're expecting to get paid. Okay, so the way this works is now you have locked your NFT there together with this datum, and then the validator would basically check that it will only be possible to unlock this if you, namely the beneficiary, would get this price in ADA within the same transaction. Okay, so how does the validator do this? So basically, okay, it takes the context here and it looks at all the outputs of the transaction. So we iterate here through the outputs, and for each output we check, okay, who is the address that this goes to? And if it's the beneficiary, then we check what is the value that is sent to him. We check here the ADA value, so we get kind of the dictionary value at this 00 key, and we check whether this is exactly what you're expecting to be paid. And then we set paid to true, and I guess if at least one of the iterations ends with paid getting set to true, then in the end this assertion will pass. But if none of the outputs is actually paying the beneficiary the expected amount, then paid would still be false and the whole thing would fail. Yeah, so in the end it seems like you can only unlock the NFT if the beneficiary is paid as expected. Now, actually there's some way to exploit this contract, and this is what we want you to figure out in this homework. And since we've seen testing now, I guess testing is a very useful tool to find this vulnerability. So we would ask you to either first think about what could be the issue here. And if you don't see it yet, I think you can come up with some either unit tests or also experiment with the property tests that we saw. And you might see then what is the exploit actually. And yeah, if you can already see the exploit by looking at this, I think it's still a good idea to write some tests that actually expose this vulnerability. And then once you have identified, of course, we would ask you to fix it. And yeah, this can be achieved by small modifications of this contract. And after the fix, of course, you would then want your tests to actually pass. So I hope this will be a helpful exercise, and then I will see you in the week 7 of the program.